Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Niquee again, and today we're going to break down CLEP questions. I'm not necessarily here to teach you the subject. I'm here to just show you how to approach the format of CLEP questions. And for our example today, we have human growth and development questions. So we're going to break down the question, understand what exactly it is asking for, understand what topics we should know beforehand, then answer the question. Let's begin. So, a school creates an honors tracks based on middle school test scores. 10 years later, students placed in lower tracks and are less likely to attend college even when their later grades improved. Which sociological explanation best analyzes the long-term effect? So, before we look at the answer choices, let's break down the question. A school creates honors tracks based on middle school test scores. That alone is telling us a lot of information. It is telling us that we should understand what these honors tracks, what do these honors tracks entail? Why do we care about them? Let me set it into like a different color, maybe purple. Oh, that is bad. Let's make it, I meant the text, not the, creates honors tracks based on middle school test scores. Now you need to ask yourself, do you know what tracks are? Why do we care about middle school test scores? Why was it introduced that we need to care about middle school test scores? Okay, 10 years later, so some time has passed by, students placed in lower track are less likely to attend college even when their later grades improve. So what this whole thing means, I'll just put it as a comment on the side. What this whole thing means is that because the students were grouped into tracks based on middle school test scores. They are now facing real consequences. To me, advantages and consequences are the same thing. It's a matter if it's a positive consequence or a negative consequence. So I'll just use consequence for everything. They now face real consequences that affect their future decisions or their current decisions, current/future decisions. The students have become a statistic, in summary. Amazing. So we've gathered 3 pieces of information. A school started tracking their students. The students were tracked in middle school, and time passed by. Actually, now we know 5 things. Okay, a school is tracking their students. The students' middle school test scores were used. Time has passed by. And we now have outcomes based on their test scores. Well, not really based on their test scores, based on that tracking system. And we can predict basically what will happen to the next group who are placed in the same situation. Now the question asks, which sociological explanation best analyzes the long-term effect? So this question is asking you 2 things. Do you understand what a sociological explanation is? And do you know how to analyze what has just happened? What we just did right now is analyze the entire situation. Now we can move into the answer choices. We have A, tracking functions mainly as a neutral sorting system that improves institutional efficiency. Now, I'll give you a few seconds. What does tracking, neutral sorting system, and improves institutional efficiency mean to you together? I'll give you a few moments. Time's up. Now, we've just seen here tracking is a negative effect for the students who were placed in lower tracks. We know that for a fact. We know that students placed in lower tracks have less successful outcomes, depending on what your definition of success is. If your definition of success is going to college, like it is here, then we can say it's a negative outcome. Now, okay, tracking neutral sorting system. We just said that it's not a neutral sorting system. Based on how well you performed in middle school, you can either have a really good path with lots of connections, lots of opportunities that makes you decide to go to college, or you don't go to college at all. It's not neutral. It is a sorting system, but it's not neutral. That improves institutional efficiency. To me, that is extremely subjective because at a school, when you group students by their test scores, you will only expect the behavior associated with their test score all the time. And that may not be true throughout the student's entire career in middle school and high school. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Improves is a very interesting one. So to me, I would cross out A because I don't think tracking is a neutral sorting system. How do I cross out? Let's search. How do I search for it? Strike through tracks. Okay, there we go. Let's analyze B. Tracking has appeared again. Tracking may become a mechanism of social reproduction. Social reproduction by converting early advantage into later opportunity. I'll give you a few moments to think about it. Now, the key word here is a lot. Tracking is a keyword. May is a really big keyword. A mechanism of social reproduction is a very big concept. Early advantage, big concept. Later opportunity, big concept. Now, this answer choice is asking us, do we understand what are mechanisms of social reproduction are? Do we understand how society works in a large level according to the different sociological concepts? There are sociological concepts in human growth and development, but this video is just to show you how to answer a question. Okay. So it's asking us, do you understand tracking? Do you understand the use of the word may? Do you know how a mechanism of social reproduction works? And can this mechanism produce this expected outcome? I would answer yes, because here it's just told us the opposite. If you're in a lower track, you're less likely to attend college, meaning you don't have an early advantage. You have a later advantage, not later advantage. You don't have an early advantage. I cannot find another word. And you don't have an opportunity in the future if you don't decide to go to college. Because college comes with so much networking, so much friendships, so much connection that once you get out of college, you know that, oh, my brother over here knows how to do these things and can hire me in case I get fired from this place. So I would argue that B is a very, very respectable answer. Okay, C. Tracking eliminates class differences by matching all students with appropriate extraction. Okay, I have a very big problem with that thing with C because it's not true at all. We've just talked about how tracking separates students into different classes, different tracks. So let's break down the answer choice. Okay, tracking obviously eliminates is the biggest keyword we have. Class differences. We need to understand how that concept has worked in different societies, like the caste system in India, the social class system in other countries, elders and the children. That system is essentially a class system. Anyways, matching is also a keyword with appropriate instruction. What does appropriate instruction look like? These are the types of questions you need to be asking yourself when you're looking at answer choices on the CLEP Human Growth and Development exam for this case. But just for any general CLEP exam, can you disprove this answer choice? Can you prove this answer choice? Okay. Tracking does not eliminate class differences. It actually creates them because it's separating people into tracks, into different levels based on test scores. Does that seem fair to you? No. By matching all students with appropriate instruction. I think this phrase is extremely subjective. Appropriate is also a keyword. Matching and appropriate are keywords because they're so subjective. Someone's appropriate instruction and their level of performance on a test may not match up. So you never know. And for that, I will eliminate this answer choice. How do I eliminate? Help. Search. Strike through. Control, Alt, Shift, right. Okay. D. Tracking is best explained only by individual motivation and personal effort. Okay, interesting. Best explained. That's a key phrase. Now, from the text above, I did not see anything talking about individual motivation and personal effort. We did see a sentence that says, even when their later grades improved. We know that the students' grades have improved, but we did not indirectly or directly talk about individual motivation and personal effort. And I don't think this is the best way to explain how tracking works. So you see, throughout the process of evaluating each answer choice and eliminating each one, we've garnered a definition for tracking that we did not know initially. Like, we did not know why the school is doing tracking, what tracking means to them in the first place. Why are they separating lower into higher tracks? Why we need a sociological explanation. But we just figured it out on the way. Anyways, D I would cross out because B is a better answer than D. How do I strike the text? So this is how you would complete an exam question. This not only applies to CLEP, but so many other exams like the AP exam, final exams for a course, the praxis, DTST, KCSC, whatever. This is how you would go through a question for CLEP, Human Growth and Development, as an example. Thank you for joining me. See you in the next one. Goodbye.